Hi guys, it is Wednesday morning, November 30th, 2022, about 6 a.m. Here's the vedic timing chart from yesterday with price lines. Now, I put these price lines out last week, I think one day. These are new, different calculation I'm using to get these price levels. These are working pretty well too. This is different from the ones that I had been using for the last few months. But these look like pretty strong calculations. You can see that these are color coded to tell me what the underlying calculations are. And you can see some cluster points here where we have multiple lines converging. Like right here at the, what is that? The 39.52 level. Then we have another cluster here at the 39.65 level where we made this low and this high. And then we have two lines close together here at 74.5 to 77, and that's where this high came in at 1052 area yesterday, and the prior lows were at that level. To the upside, where we didn't move to yesterday, we're back right up over the 4,000 mark where we've got the double line there. And then I've got the timing lines on here. Of course, you know we always like the bright green and the white windows. Some other things I'll do when we don't have, like when the chart shifts and we don't have any white or green after this last white window here yesterday at about 8:45 area. Notice we didn't have any windows there the rest of the day, so I'll look for the windows to change, or I'll look at the other indicators to give us triggers like the rainbow, the pH, or the Cosmo. On today's example, I'm going to show you how I use the Astro Excel gray line. So these arrows are triggering trades where price came to the law of vibration line area, and I got a gray line trigger on the Astro Excel. So I'll show that in a little bit here, but I want to show you how I'll also use the segment changes to trigger trades. So the end of the segment, like right here at the end of the blue segment on A2, we had a short trade triggered, so we had a long triggered in the white window, and it only went up this short level and was flipped back over by the end of that segment. And then here we have the end of the white segment on the B1 panel. That flipped the market over, but it had no follow through. And then the gray window on the A2 panel shifted to red, and we bounced up off of that line after that to the next level. Got a really nice setup here where the red window went to green, so we went bearish to bullish, and the market played that out to the T, and that was a nice trade for the afternoon yesterday. And then there was last trigger here by the Astro Excel. Both of those were triggered by the Astro Excel. So the Astro Excel did trigger nicely for additional potential setups yesterday. Let me show you the Astro Excel chart. Alright, I just slid the vedic chart over to the right a little bit, and you can see the 1 minute Astro Excel chart on the left. So what I'm doing on this chart, I'm only looking at the gray line spikes. I like to get those outside of the 10 line to make that happen. You can see this is the 0 line where I'm bouncing my cursor around, and then each line up is 10, 20, each line down is minus 10, minus 20. So you can see the 4 vertical lines that I've put on the Astro Excel chart are where I've got the green and red arrows placed on the vedic chart here. So this first trigger was at this spike high here, and that was inverted because we got a high on the gray line, but was actually a low on the market chart over here where I've got that about 616 bar where we hit that level. You can see on my cursor here when I get to that top that gray line peak, it's at 622. You can see that wasn't the actual low of the market on the 1 minute bar. We had the first impulse up and then a little correction and then got the trigger. On the 4 minute chart, you don't see any of that. You just get a nice clean trigger off the price area. The second one was a big gray line spike low down here at about 844, and that was close to hitting the exact low on the 1 minute chart. That gave us this trigger right here that also happened to be coincidental with the white window trigger. And then we had two more later in the day. When we get bunched inside the 10 lines like we have right here, I generally don't look to take those as triggers. Sometimes they'll work, but they're not as reliable as the bigger spikes. You can see like we made this spike right here at about the plus 14, plus 15 area, coincided with this high. And that was this high right here at our price cluster point, triggering a nice trade down into that lower cluster point I pointed out, and that gave us a trigger with this gray line spike low over here at about 243, 245, gave us the low exact. So a couple other things to consider when you're looking at this stuff. You want to kind of take pattern into consideration. You know, it's nice if you get you're going to get better triggers off of bigger moves than smaller moves. So if you get a decent swing in one direction, you're going to get a good counter trend move. You want to look for 3 or 5 wave patterns generally, or bigger patterns when they do occur, and those are going to trigger your better trades. So we're going to get, you know, a couple of really nice trades every day, at least 2 or 3, and then we're going to get a few smaller trades, and we're going to get an occasional scratch trade where we don't get much movement, like on this area of consolidation right here. You can see if you took an entry here, you were just sitting there waiting. It was going nowhere. You could have easily scratched out for, you know, break even or a couple ticks plus or minus. You're not going to get hurt. You are not going to get hurt using this method. You are going to be very successful with this method. Anyhow, that's just an example of how I'll use the different indicators for timing to trigger trades off these price lines.